Hi everyone, I'm back with another video, and today we're going to draw grapes with the watercolor and colored pencils. So I want to pick off the graphite with this kneadable eraser. I want to lighten the graphite because when it mixes with watercolor, it sometimes creates a muddy mix. For the base layer using watercolor, you want to put down the lightest color that you see in the subject. In this case, it's a light bluish gray, which I'm going to mix using Payne's gray and Davies gray. If you don't have either of these colors, you can mix a gray with any of the colors that you have with you in your palette. Now I'm going to lay down a very light watery mix, and I'm doing this because there's going to be a lot of layers of colored pencil coming on top. For the grapes that are in the shadow areas, you might want to use a thicker mix, but on the whole, just keep it a very light watery wash. Once the watercolor layer is dry, I'm going to start laying down the midtones, which is using Cold Gray 4, and these are all Polychromos pencils that I'm going to be using. Now you want to keep the tip really sharp for your pencils and work in small circles. Now the important thing to keep in mind is that you have a good reference photo. Keep looking at the photo repeatedly so that your colors and your shadows and your highlights and your midtones match the subject. Now for the shadow areas, I'm going to be using a Cold Gray 6. And for a realistic drawing, it is important to keep in mind that you get the right detailing as far as shadows and highlights are concerned. Also keep in mind the round shape of the grape. So your shadows and your highlights will curve along with the surface of the grape. So you have to keep that in mind, and that is why a very good image is important. Now the paper here I'm using is hot press watercolor. A lot of people like to use smooth or bristle paper, but in this case, because I'm using watercolor, I've used a hot pressed watercolor paper. Now if you make a mistake and you've gone over the highlight areas, do not worry, you can always pick out the color highlights with a eraser, and here I've used a Tombow mono eraser. Now to give that bluish color to the entire grape, I'm using a dark indigo, and I'm going to go over the entire grape. Now this gives that lovely bluish gray color to the grape, and I'm going to cover the entire area, but keep in mind to leave out the highlights. Again, for the darker areas, I am alternating between Payne's gray and Cold Gray 6. Wherever I feel that the shadows have a little more blue to them, I'm using a Payne's gray, and where the shadows are coming very close to a black, I'm using Cold Gray 6. You want to keep your pencils sharp because as you put more and more layers, the tooth of the paper is going to flatten out. So using blunt pencils is going to make it really tough and frustrating. So you want to keep your pencils really sharp so that you get down, are able to put down the color really well. Now I'm going to be using a black for the darkest shadow areas and some of the markings that I can see on the grape. Now I go back with the rest of the colors, indigo, Payne's gray, Cold gray, and I adjust the colors wherever necessary. Again, I keep in mind that my shadows and my highlights have to be in the right areas to give a realistic look to my drawing. And you also want to make sure that the edges of your grape are clearly defined. For this you will need a very sharp pencil again. Now I follow the same process for the rest of the grapes as well. It's the same process of laying down the midtones, the shadows, and keeping in mind the highlights. If you enjoyed this tutorial, please like, share and subscribe. Don't forget to comment and let me know if you have any questions. Thank you for watching. Bye.